We've got some brand new information over the last 24 hours involving the Biden crime family. Headline, FBI received criminal information on Joe and Hunter Biden from over 40 confidential sources, Senator Grassley finds. This news broke as we were on the air yesterday. The FBI obtained information from more than 40 confidential sources on potential criminal matters related to Joe, his brother James, and son Hunter. According to Republican Iowa Senator Chuck Grassley, he wrote all of this in a letter sent Tuesday night to Attorney General Merrick Garland and FBI Director Christopher Wray, and said that the FBI sources provided criminal information to the FBI relating to Joe Biden, James Biden, and Hunter Biden. But in addition, an FBI task force shut down reporting and information from these confidential human sources, causing investigative activity to come to a halt, Grassley found. For more on this, I want to bring in a man who's been following this entire saga very closely, in fact, digging up a lot of it. Tom Fitton is the president of Judicial Watch and also the author of A Republic Under Assault. Tom, good to have you with us, sir.
Hey, Vince, good to be with you again.
So now we find out that not only is there, say, one or two confidential human sources reporting on the corruption of the Biden family, over 40 seems like a big deal. Under normal circumstances, don't you think the FBI would be all over an investigation like this?
It sounded to me like they had a full-time job just covering it all up. There was a lot of work to be done. You had multiple U.S. attorneys' offices, the field office here at the FBI, the Delaware U.S. Attorney's Office, others squelching this investigation. I guess you may recall, then Attorney General Barr asked the U.S. Attorney up in Pittsburgh to begin looking at some of this, and he wanted to delve into it, but couldn't get anywhere. Every time he did something, it was thwarted. He constantly had to get his requests renewed. They weren't doing the sorts of aggressive investigations that we're used to seeing when the target is Trump.
Yes.
I mean, just compare and contrast the investigations of Trump and the Biden gang. With Trump, they gin up this document dispute and criminalize his dispute of the elections and get him indicted twice within 4 or 5 months, right? With Hunter Biden and Joe Biden, they have significant evidence of criminal activity of a transnational nature, including Ukraine and China. And what does that do? It results in 5 years of non-investigations and a sweetheart plea deal that was thrown out, and then they were forced to file this podunk gun charge against him. And in the meantime, you have evidence not only from Grassley, you have it coming out of Just the News and the House side of the investigation, that they had evidence from Bobulinski that there was a $5 million wire for the benefit of the Biden family from the Chinese government in exchange for special favors from then Vice President Biden. I mean, to me, it shows you that this impeachment inquiry, it needs to be expanded and accelerated and intensified.
Yeah, no question. One of the things, and I'll get into some of the more of the revelations here that we're just getting in, again, the last 24 hours. But one of the things that always strikes me as just very third world, very banana republic is a lot of this, much of what we're talking about took place during the Trump administration. Donald Trump was president of the United States, and you had government officials who were actively working to subvert the election in order to get him out of office. I mean, how constitutionally perilous is that, Tom Fitton?
Yeah, that's a deep state special, wasn't it? While they were trying to indict Trump, remember they spent 2-3 years trying to indict him, and then they impeached him on a phone call to Ukraine about Biden corruption in Ukraine. They were so upset about him blowing the whistle on that, they tried to drive him from office. At the same time, these agencies were bending over backwards to suppress information about Hunter Biden and such. And the laptop, you can't repeat it enough. They had the laptop since December, at least, of 2019. The U.S. attorney charged with looking into Hunter Biden information, they wouldn't even tell him they had the laptop, the corrupt FBI. And to me, to bring it forward right now, Vince, my question is for House Republicans, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to give the FBI their full budget? Are you going to fully fund the Justice Department? are you going to fund these abusive agencies that quite obviously are broken?
Yeah, unquestionably
Well,
so.
and the answer was 3 weeks ago, yes, they would. And the question is, for the new speaker, what is he going to do 2 weeks from now?
Yeah, will he be aggressive? That's we'll be keeping an eye out for that for sure. He's definitely said the right things, but now he's in charge, so we'll see what he does with that. The FBI, additionally, we know, tried to cover up all of this by saying that any allegations against the Biden family were actually foreign disinformation. That's what Chuck Grassley is further reporting this week. He says this, it's been alleged that the basis for shutting the investigative activity down was an August 2020 assessment created by FBI supervisory intelligence analyst Brian Auten. That assessment was used by an FBI HQ team to improperly discredit negative Hunter Biden information as disinformation and caused investigative activity to cease. And so they have this mountain of allegations against the Biden family. And you had officials in the government who were trying to keep it out of the prying eyes of good civil servants and saying, don't you look at this. This is all just Russian disinformation.
Oh, and they tried to distract Grassley and company because, recall, at the same time, then they used as a pretext to go and, quote, brief the senators on their so-called findings. And they're like, why are you talking to us about this? We know what's going on. It's not disinformation. And what happened was Schiff and company then leaked that briefing to suggest that Johnson and Grassley had been hoodwinked by Russians.
Right. Yeah. The briefing.
This is really dastardly behavior.
Right. The FBI goes and they brief Grassley and Johnson, to your point, and says, hey, this is all just Russian disinformation. I don't even know why you're on this track, just so that they could leak that to the press. Well, these idiots, Grassley and Johnson, they're just chasing Russian disinformation for no reason whatsoever. It was all a big scam.
It was, but it leads to the question of what's happening now. I mean, there's serious evidence that 1053, the IRS form that has been bolstered repeatedly in these investigations, suggests that the head of Burisma was involved in a $10 million bribery scheme for Hunter and Joe Biden to protect them. It turns out in this letter there was an active criminal investigation into the head of Burisma by the FBI. I don't recall that being the case here in the United States, knowing about that. Certainly that would have been interesting to know during the election, don't you think?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And we had
throughout
throughout Trump's time in office, and even prior to that, we were getting all sorts of leaks about the way that the government was closing in on him.
So there are a few conclusions here. The U.S. attorney is compromised in Delaware. He's the special counsel looking at Hunter Biden. Joe Biden needs his own special counsel, and they can't move fast enough on impeachment. The evidence is overwhelming. The Justice Department, the House impeachment inquiry needs to get its act together. It was delayed for large measure for 3 weeks by those who really hate any impeachment inquiry or any criminal or any serious investigations, the establishment Republican types. But Speaker Johnson needs to throw all necessary resources at this to get a resolution, because we just don't want hearings world without end, right?
No.
We want accountability and a conclusion to what's happening here in terms of, is he going to be impeached or not? Is the president a crook or not? And that means pressuring the Justice Department to at least get a serious criminal investigation going. Maybe it means having someone outside the Justice Department do it. Who knows?
Sure. And I hear the frustration in your voice. I share it. There's lots of our audience, of course, frustrated too, because you and I, in a sense, although it's a little bit different the way we do it, we're in the information business. You're in the information digging business. I'm in the information sharing business. But the point is, we've been talking about this, and the evidence is stacked up a mile high to the point that you're saying, okay, hey, action guys, the guys who can do something about this, where are you? And so as you look at this new speaker, Mike Johnson, you obviously would like to see him live up to his obligations here. Do you have any hope that he will? Are you optimistic at all, Tom Fitton?
Well, I'm always optimistic. That's why I'm always upset at the same time, because my optimism is always dashed. There are a lot of forces against doing anything aggressive here, and my view is the approach should be, we've proved the case, right? We can do some investigations and put a fine point on it. But on the other hand, we're in the process. We're past the prosecution phase. We're in the penalty phase. Okay, let's just get to it. Let's just get to it.
Right. How many more checks do we need?
Having an impeachment vote in June of next year, I think people are going to discount as pure politics. So they need to move quickly and get it done. But it's just the beginning, because if they're going to fully fund the Justice Department and the FBI after what we're seeing here, I mean, who's kidding who?
Right. After what they've done to not just Trump, but what they've ignored with Biden, and what they've done most importantly to the American people, whether they're pro-life activists or parents attending school board meetings or Mark Houck or Catholics attempting to go to church in Virginia, take your pick. You've got a deeply abusive Justice Department that desperately needs to be put in its place, and we're just begging for someone to do that.
We've got the Biden Justice Department right now in federal court. They just filed the brief yesterday asking Judge Chutkan through Jack Smith to put President Trump in jail if he criticizes the Biden Justice Department. So let's just figure out whether or not we support that or not, and then act appropriately, my fellow Americans running the House.
Yes. Well, Mike Johnson's a constitutional lawyer. Now's his time to shine, because what you just described is completely unconstitutional. All right. Thank you very much. Tom Fitton with Judicial Watch. Thank you, as always, for your fierce work on behalf of our country. Thank you, sir.